Have you ever felt trapped inside your own mind? Like your thoughts are spinning faster than you can control them, pulling you deeper into anxiety, doubt, and paralysis. You're not alone. Millions of people struggle with overthinking every single day, and most advice tells you to just stop thinking so much or stay positive. But what if I told you there's a Japanese approach that doesn't fight overthinking? It transforms it. Today I'm sharing the story of a man who discovered this ancient technique and how it completely rewired his relationship with his own mind. If overthinking has stolen your peace, stay with me. Before we begin, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And in the comments, tell me, what's one thought that keeps you awake at night? Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The day everything changed. Takeshi sat at his desk at 3 in the morning, staring at a blank email draft. His eyes burned from the screen light. His shoulders were locked in knots. He had been trying to write a simple response to his manager for 6 hours. 6 hours. Not because the email was complex, not because he didn't know what to say, but because every sentence he typed triggered an avalanche of questions. What if this sounds too casual? What if he thinks I'm incompetent? What if I phrase this wrong and lose my job? Delete, rewrite, delete, rewrite. His wife, Yuki, appeared in the doorway. Her face was tired, sad. She said nothing. She just looked at him the way you look at someone who's drowning right in front of you, and you don't know how to pull them out. She turned and went back to bed. Takeshi felt the familiar sting of shame. He was 34 years old. He had a good job as a project coordinator at a tech company in Osaka. He had a wife who loved him, a daughter who adored him. On paper, his life was fine, but inside his mind, it was chaos. Every decision, no matter how small, became a battlefield. Which route to take to work, what to order for lunch, whether to speak up in a meeting or stay silent. Each choice spiraled into infinite scenarios, each scenario breeding new fears, new doubts, new questions. He couldn't remember the last time he felt calm. That morning, he didn't send the email. He closed his laptop and sat in the dark, feeling like a failure. When his daughter, Hana, woke up at 7, she ran to him with a drawing she had made. It was a picture of their family holding hands under a sun. Takeshi looked at it and felt nothing. Not joy, not love, just numbness. And beneath that numbness, a quiet terror that he was disappearing. At work, he sat through a meeting and didn't hear a single word. His boss asked him a direct question. Takeshi froze. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. His co-workers stared. Takeshi stammered something incoherent and felt his face burn red. That evening, Yuki confronted him. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just said very quietly, "Takeshi, I'm scared for you. You're not here anymore. Even when you're standing right in front of me, you're somewhere else. And I don't know how to reach you." Takeshi wanted to explain. He wanted to tell her about the noise in his head, the endless loop of thoughts that never stopped. But the words wouldn't come. So he just nodded and said, "I'm sorry." Yuki looked at him for a long moment. Then she said something that changed everything. "My uncle is visiting this weekend. I think you should talk to him." Chapter 2. The mentor appears. Yuki's uncle, Hiroshi, was 72 years old. He had been a Zen practitioner for most of his life, living in a small temple in the mountains of Nagano. Takeshi had met him only a few times, and each time he found the old man's calmness unsettling. Hiroshi never seemed hurried, never seemed worried. He moved through the world like water. They met at a quiet tea house near the river. Hiroshi arrived early, already seated when Takeshi walked in. The old man gestured to the chair across from him and poured tea without speaking. Finally, he spoke. "Yuki tells me you are suffering. Takeshi felt defensive. I'm fine, just stressed with work. Hiroshi nodded, but his eyes remained on the river. Stress is normal, but what you have is not stress, it is something else. Takeshi bristled. What do you mean? Hiroshi turned to face him. You are drowning in your own mind. Every thought pulls you under. You try to fight them, but the more you fight, the deeper you sink. Am I wrong? Takeshi felt his throat tighten. Because Hiroshi was right, the old man continued. You think the problem is the thoughts themselves. You think if you could just think correctly, or think less, or think better, then you would be free. But that is not how the mind works. Takeshi leaned forward. Then what do I do? Hiroshi smiled faintly. You do nothing. Takeshi blinked. Nothing? Nothing. You stop fighting. You stop trying to fix. You simply observe. Simply observe. Takeshi felt frustration rising. That's it. Just observe. I've tried mindfulness apps. I've tried meditation. None of it works. Hiroshi set down his cup. Because you are trying to use observation as a tool to stop thinking. That is still fighting. I am not asking you to stop your thoughts. I am asking you to let them be. Do you know what a river does when a stone blocks its path? Takeshi shook his head. It does not try to move the stone, it flows around it. And over time, the stone smooths. Your thoughts are the river. You are the one who watches. Hiroshi reached into his bag and pulled out a small notebook. He slid it across the table. For the next 7 days, I want you to do one thing. Every time you notice yourself overthinking, write down 3 words. Just 3. The emotion you feel, the thought you are stuck on, and the time of day. Nothing more. Do not analyze, do not judge, just observe and record. Takeshi picked up the notebook. It was plain, unlined, the pages empty. That's it. Hiroshi nodded. That is it. This practice is called Toraware no Kansatsu. Observing the trap. You are not trying to escape the trap, yet you are simply learning to see it. Chapter 3. The practice begins. Takeshi went home that night feeling skeptical. 3 words. That was supposed to help, but he had promised Yuki he would try. So the next morning, when he found himself spiraling over a work email again, he stopped. He picked up the notebook. He wrote, anxious, email response, morning. That was it. He closed the notebook and went back to the email. Strangely, something shifted. The spiral didn't stop completely, but it lost some of its grip. Over the next few days, Takeshi filled pages, overwhelmed, meeting preparation, afternoon, guilty, ignoring Hana, evening, frustrated, choosing dinner, night. He started to notice patterns. Most of his overthinking happened in the morning and late at night. Most of it centered on work and social interactions. Most of it was rooted in fear. By the 7th day, he met Hiroshi again at the tea house. Hiroshi asked to see the notebook. He flipped through the pages slowly, nodding. Good. You are beginning to see. Now tell me, what did you notice? Takeshi hesitated. I noticed that I think the same thoughts over and over, like I'm stuck in a loop. Hiroshi smiled. Yes, the mind loves loops. Even if the loop causes suffering, it is familiar, and the mind prefers familiar suffering to unfamiliar peace. This is the first principle, nari no wa, the circle of habit. Your overthinking is not random, it is a habit. Once you see the pattern, you can begin to interrupt it. Tell me, when you are overthinking, where do your thoughts go? Takeshi thought about it. They're usually about the future, what might happen, or the past, what I did wrong. Hiroshi nodded. This is jikan no mayoi. The confusion of time. Overthinking always pulls you out of now. The present moment is the only place where you have power. The solution is to notice when you have left, and gently, without judgment, return. again and again. This is the practice. He paused. There is a third principle. When you overthink, do you believe your thoughts are true? Takeshi nodded slowly. I guess I do. Hiroshi leaned back. This is Shinjitsu no Genso, the illusion of truth. Your mind creates stories. Some are helpful, most are not. But you treat every thought as if it is fact. Thoughts are not facts. They are just mental events like clouds passing through the sky. Chapter 4. The Fall and Rise. Takeshi continued the practice. For 2 weeks things improved. He felt less consumed. He was more present with Hana. Yuki smiled at him more. Then, one night, everything collapsed. He received a message from his boss. We need to talk tomorrow. 4 words. And Takeshi's mind exploded. He spiraled for hours. He couldn't sleep. He didn't write in the notebook. He just drowned. The next morning, he met with his boss. It was nothing, just a discussion about project timelines. But Takeshi felt humiliated. All that suffering for nothing. 2 days later, Hiroshi showed up at their door. He sat down across from Takeshi. You stopped writing, Hiroshi said. Takeshi clenched his jaw. It didn't work. Hiroshi nodded. Did you think 2 weeks of practice would undo 30 years of conditioning? The path is not a straight line. It is a spiral. You will fall many times, and each time you fall, you will learn something new. Takeshi felt tears prick his eyes. But I thought I was getting better. Hiroshi's voice softened. You were. You are. But healing is not linear. There is a principle you must understand now. Fukanzen no bi. The beauty of imperfection. You will never be a person who does not overthink. That is not the goal. The goal is to become someone who overthinks and knows how to return, who falls and knows how to rise. You are not broken. You are human. When you fall, you do not need to punish yourself. You simply notice. You say, I am overthinking again. This is familiar. I know what to do. And you pick up the notebook. You write the 3 words. You return. That is all. Chapter 5. The Transformation. Something shifted in Takeshi that night. He realized that he had been treating overthinking as an enemy to defeat. But Hiroshi was teaching him something else. To see it as a pattern to understand, a part of himself to accept. He started the practice again. But this time, when he overthought, he didn't hate himself for it. He just observed. And then he moved on. Over the weeks, the overthinking began to lose its power. Before, when a thought came, it hooked him immediately. Now, when a thought came, there was a gap. A tiny moment of space where he could see it arriving. And in that space, he had a choice. One evening, Hana asked him to play a game with her. Normally, Takeshi's mind would flood with reasons why he couldn't. But this time, he noticed the thoughts. He saw them appear. He let them be. And then he said yes. They played for an hour. Takeshi was fully present. Afterward, Hana hugged him and said, Daddy, you're different now. You're here. 3 months passed. At work, he began speaking up in meetings, not because he had eliminated all fear, but because he could hold the fear and speak anyway. At home, Yuki told him one night, You're back. I didn't realize how much I missed you until you came back. Hana drew another picture of just the 2 of them, holding hands. Takeshi put it on the refrigerator and looked at it every morning. The most significant change was internal. Takeshi started to notice space in his mind. Before, it had felt like a crowded train station. Now it felt like a quiet park. Thoughts still came, but there was room between them. He could watch them arrive, acknowledge them, and let them pass. He wasn't at war with himself anymore. Chapter 6. A Message to You. If you're still watching, I want to speak directly to you. Maybe you're struggling with overthinking right now. Maybe your mind feels like a prison. I want you to know something. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not alone. Overthinking is not a character flaw. It's a pattern, and patterns can be changed. Not overnight, not easily, but gradually, gently, with practice. Here's what I want you to do. Get a notebook. For the next 7 days, every time you notice yourself overthinking, write down 3 words. The emotion, the thought, the time of day. Don't analyze, don't judge, just observe. This is the first step, not to control your thoughts, just to see them. Because once you see the pattern, you can begin to interrupt it. In the comments right now, write down one thing you overthink about. Just one. Maybe it's what people think of you. Maybe it's a decision you can't make. Maybe it's a mistake you can't let go of. Write it down, because naming it is the first step to releasing it. And when you write it, know that you're not alone. Remember Takeshi's story. He didn't stop overthinking. He learned to live with it. He learned to observe it. He learned to return to the present again and again without judgment. And slowly, his life transformed. Not because he became perfect, but because he became kind to himself. You can do the same. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You just need to take one small step. Write 3 words. Observe the trap. Return to now. The river keeps flowing. The thoughts keep coming. But you can learn to watch them without drowning. You can learn that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. And in that space between stimulus and response, you will find your freedom. Thank you for watching. Now go, pick up your notebook, write your 3 words, and begin.